Here we go. Hey folks! Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man! Your services. The services of the living and the dead. How are you all? Hope you're doing very well. Right, the purposes of this little video, he says, moving in a wee bit closer, is I've got another mask on the way. Oh yes. And it's a doozy. It's a brand new mask. It's arriving hopefully tomorrow, and I'm going to show it you. And it's a zombie mask, and it's perhaps my favourite, the one I think is the most iconic of zombies, of screen zombies, and it is Stephen, aka Flyboy from Dawn of the Dead, George Romero's 1978 absolute monumental epic zombie undead masterpiece. I love it. So do you. You all know it. And of course, David Emge plays Stephen. I've not got the mask to show you just yet, but I'm kind of, because I've been looking forward to it. Like, oh yeah, I want this. Like Tots Trick or Treat Studios brought out a lot of the Hammer masks and the Universal masks, Scooby-Doo masks, and I've bought and shown you lots of them so far. But I'm looking forward to this one because nobody else seems to have reviewed it anywhere. So, in excitation and anticipation of this mask's arrival, I began to think, who are my favourite zombies in movies? Zombies everywhere. And there's such a huge genre that it is. And I thought, like, well, how do you limit it down? The undead, I mean, vampires are undead, the mummy is undead, Frankenstein's monster is a zombie, it's brought back from the grave, you know, cadavers freshly rifled from graves. So, where do you draw the line? And I just thought, well, you know, there is no line. I'm going to list up my top 10. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've only just cobbled this list together. So, there could be others which I've neglected. But quickly, I did amass some masks of some of my favourites. And it was convenient that I happened to have these masks as well. No, I've obviously bought them because they're my favourites. So, I'll take this, thank you. And playing behind me is a little playlist of zombie themes. I'm going to move this a little bit closer. In my impetuosity to get this video done, I didn't set up correctly. I just put the masks up and thought, hey, let's just go for it. And we need this guy here, because he plays a part in this. Howard Sherman as Bub from Day of the Dead playing right now. So anyway, and this is in no particular order. Stephen, David Emge, Flyboy from Dawn of the Dead, who gets chobbled to bits in the elevator. He's been shot in the arm by the marauding bikers as well. I will go on at length about this in the video about the mask. But the way that David Emge personifies the freshly awoken Stephen as a zombie is just fantastic. The way that he moves, the way that revolver balances on his dead hand, on the finger, and he alone knows the way back to the secret hideaway where the survivors are. So he leads the zombie horde on. I'll discuss that at length. Tom Savini's makeup, yeah, we know it's primitive, we know. They've just undergone like an undercoat of blue emulsion. But there is the gory effects, and he's been bitten to bits as well. And there's a great shot of him as he shambles on a broken foot with that gun outstretched, like dangling precariously from his finger, and he's going, "Arr, arr," and he turns the corner down to the aisle, the corridor that hides their secret hideaway, and you see that big chew bite in his neck, and you go, ooh, that's gotta hurt, that. Brilliant. So he's, as I say, it's no particular order, it's just a thrown together list of 10 terrific zombies. Stephen, David Emge. Now we go on to The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, an infamous video nasty directed by George Grau, Spanish director, and it's also a Spanish, German, French, Italian. There's a massive bunch of people involved in the making of this rural English countryside splatterfest. I have covered it before. I've reviewed the film quite extensively. But what's his name? Fernando Hilbeck. I wrote that down. I think that's right. Fernando Hilbeck plays Guthrie the Loon, who was obviously, the local down and out, and he's been found. They found his body washed up in the river, and he's died obviously. But no, he's one of the first to come back, reawoken from the grave by a new pesticide which is being sort of trial run by the Ministry of Agriculture. And it's got sonic waves and all this, and it's meant to kill pests in the crops. But it has an unlucky side effect. It awakens the dead. And they come back with a cannibalistic gusto. And this was a film several years after George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, about 1974. The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue has about 1,000 different titles. Don't Open the Window and The Living Dead, lots of different titles. Doesn't matter. The English police, the English constabulary pounced on every different version of it and took them off the shelves. I was present in the video library when it was removed from the shelves very forcibly, which only fueled this notoriety all the more. And it's playing now. This is the music to it now, and it's a great, very, very nasty, very staunchly anti-authoritarian, very anti-right-wing sort of saga. Post-hippiedom, zombies, right-wing authoritarian police, extreme bloodletting. And Ray Lovelock plays the hero. Christine Galbo is the love interest. But there's not much time for love in this movie, because Guthrie, when he returns from the grave, waterlogged with his bloodshot eyes, his unkempt, dishevelled look, he's one of the first zombies, and he actually has the power to bring back other zombies in a nightmarish sequence. He reawakens other zombies in the morgue, not the morgue, underneath the church, and a poor constable arrives to try and save the day, makes a run for it because they've all barricaded themselves inside the chapel house. But under Guthrie's leadership, him and the freshly awoken zombies pick up tombstones and start using them as battering rams. Oh my God, and they're trapped in there. But this guy, this constable, tries to make a break for it to get to the radio in his car, and the zombies get him, and they disembowel him and pluck his eyeballs out, and oh my God. But Guthrie is one of the most terrifying zombies, and his disgusting, rancid breath, and these bloodshot, demonic eyes. Oh God, he's terrifying. He's great. Jack Goodman, there he is, played by Griffin Dunne in An American Werewolf in London. Well, it's not a zombie film, but it has zombies in it. It has the undead who come back. He's the best friend of what's his name? David, who is the American werewolf. He's been killed by the werewolf out in the moors, but because the wolf's bloodline has not been severed, he comes back. He exists now as one of the undead. You ever talk to a corpse? It's boring. To try and warn his best friend, you must kill yourself. Charming. Come the full moon, you'll become, I know, a monster. I'm not having a good time here, David, I will not be threatened by a walking meatloaf. But that is how he looks in his final stage. Griffin Dunne, the great indie sort of actor Griffin Dunne, did not like having the makeup applied by Rick Baker. Seeing himself over hours in the makeup chair in the mirror becoming the undead, it gave him a really bad, depressed mood, as perhaps it would do. He gradually got into it though, and by the end, by that moment when he comes back to the final stage in the Soho seedy porn cinema with all of David's fresh victims, all seated around, trying to give him advice on how to kill himself. That's how he looks in that final stage. He's decomposing all the more throughout the movie and all his little visits. That's not Griffin Dunne wearing a mask. That's actually a puppet which is being operated by Griffin Dunne out of shot. He's moving the face and the mannerisms of this puppet. So he's still giving a performance, but that's how he looks, a complete dishevelled mess, and it's wonderful. He even scratches the remains of not much of a nose at one stage. So yeah, he's a great zombie as well. But he's got a heart. He's looking after his best friend. Okay, we're going to go back in time now to Val Lewton and Jack Turner, and I Walked with a Zombie. One of your classic zombies now, literally a Haitian voodoo, and that's a film about a plantation owner's wife has gone into a somnambulistic trance. All the islanders all believe she's a zombie. So he enlists the help of this nurse who comes to try to get her out of this trance-like state. But we all know it's a zombie-like curse. The film has a terrifically dreamlike ambience to it. They're not flesh-eating zombies. These are, used and abused by, the plantation owners and the witch doctors. And in a great eerie sequence, I think her name's Helen, the nurse follows the wife through the cane fields because she's summoned to a witch doctor. They want to try to get this curse lifted, try and find answers, and they're greeted by Darby Jones, huge, very tall, very regal black actor from this period, who had the ability to pop his own eyeballs out, boing, like ping pong balls, and he greets them in the cane fields, and he becomes like this sentinel throughout the movie. Doesn't do nothing violent at all. He's not aggressive, but he has this towering presence, this sort of dignity from beyond the grave as he watches and just surveys and leads people. It's a reworking of Jane Eyre, the story itself, but given this sort of timeless, epic quality and a tragic ending as well. But Darby Jones plays this iconic zombie, that look and that silence, that reticence, dreamlike, scary, profoundly eerie and disturbing. He's up there. He's in my list. This guy, Maggot Eye, Worm Eye, Zombie Flesh Eaters poster boy. He is fantastic. He's the zombified remains of a Spanish conquistador who, when our hapless hero is on this little island in the Antilles, island of Matul, where there's zombies sprouting like weeds out of the undergrowth, and everyone's getting chomped and disemboweled and eye gouged. And after a crash in their jeep, they end up having a rest in this, well, you could pick a better place, but they pick the graveyard of the Spanish conquistadors, who then begin to rise. And of course, this is from little Lucio Fulci, a guy that did not skimp on the gore and put his actors through hell. If you're going to play a zombie, then I'm afraid you're going to have absolute muck encrusted on you. You're going to be underground, and you're going to rise through the air. You're going to have maggots and worms and all sorts thrust into every orifice, and you're going to enjoy it. And that guy there, arises in one of the most savage and gory and terrifying scenes in any zombie movie, and puts the bite on the delectable Oretta Gay, who you've already seen skinny scubaing and fighting another of my top listed zombies, the shark zombie. He's under there. She gets threatened by, sadly, a grey nurse shark with its teeth filed down, but we won't go into all that. And while she hides, in a little skimpy bottom half of a bikini with all her assets on show, she hides behind the rocks, and a hand comes out of nowhere, and oh my god, it is a zombie under the water. Looks a bit like cross between Bub and Boris Karloff and Guthrie the Loon, but he's a big guy, and in a huge underwater sequence, so fabulously filmed, so really incredibly atmospheric. He battles not only Oretta Gay, but the shark as well, and makes a meal out the shark. He loses an arm in the process, but his face, he looks genuinely terrifying. He's big, he's solid. This is a zombie that can do some business. But he's underwater. I love the way you never get the story about how he got there, or even who actually wins the final battle between him and the shark. But it's a great moment of complete lunatic absurdity in a film full of hypnotically brutal imagery from start to finish. So there's two from little Lucio Fulci from the same movie, and he's one of the kings of zombies. Romero is the demigod of zombie movies, of course, but Lucio Fulci zombies look like zombies for real. They are the gnarliest, nastiest critters from beyond the grave you're ever going to have the misfortune to bump into. Shark zombie is awesome, but that guy looks, oh my god, when he comes out the grave and he shrugs off all of the soil, and Oretagay, who survived the shark and zombie encounter, just standing there transfixed with horror as this creature advances on it in that brilliant sort of slow motion shuffle, the camera really exaggerating the height of this guy, and he leans down and puts the bite on it, and that stringy bit of flesh comes away, and in slow motion about 50 gallons of the deepest, most convincing gore just spews out in a scarlet tsunami from it. Oh my god, it's like, oh, it's truly shocking scene, but fabulous too, and he looks the business. Excellent stuff there. Who have we got next? Well, we're going into the realms slightly more of the supernatural. Suspiria. Kilt-Man, that's a film about witchcraft. And Giallo. No zombies. Well, there is. Jessica Harper, who plays the young American dancer at the Freiburg Dance Academy, who uncovers the coven behind it all. Well, her friend there, who stumbled onto some of the secrets as well, is played by, her friend Sarah is played by Stefania Cassini, another gorgeous girl, who sadly will inevitably incur the wrath of the witches and their wickedly talented hench fiend that goes after anyone that crosses paths with them. And she will end up falling into a room full of razor wire, get sliced up in that, and then she'll have her throat slashed from ear to ear. But when young Jessica Harper, as Susie Banyan, finds Elena Marcos, the aged crone witch who's at the head of this coven, when she discovers her, and she's seen the body of her friend as well, lying there, slashed up, but with pins in her eyes as well, her wide open eyes, Elena Marcos conjures up, now you'll face your ultimate nightmare, the living dead. And Sarah, her friend, comes back with a knife, a big butcher knife in her hand, and laughs hysterically and comes for Jessica Harper. Oh God. Oh, admittedly, doesn't do anything, but she is, because Jessica Harper, as Susie Banyan, will manage to pluck one of the tail feathers and a needle from a bird with crystal plumage. Little homage there, folks, for the Argento fans. And manage to stab through Elena Marcos, thereby ending her magical spell and turning the whole Freiburg Academy into a raging inferno. And so the zombie of Sarah just evaporates and disappears. But it's such a nightmarish image when she advances with this cackle, this hellish cackle of pure bloodlust, and eyes wide and these pins in them, slashed everywhere with this butcher knife, and her mouth wide open with this sinister cackle. God, it is genuinely the stuff of nightmares. So she's up there. Next up, it's this guy. It's Bub, played by Howard Sherman from Day of the Dead. Richard Liberty as Dr. Frankenstein, who's conducting all his experiments on the zombies, trying to make them, stop them from wanting to eat us, for one thing, and they have outnumbered us, and all this. He's great, but he's trained Bub, but of course he feeds them. But what's he feeding them on? He's feeding them on the remains of their own comrades, the other survivors' comrades, the military men who've been offed and died. He's feeding them. So obviously no one's happy with that. But he's trained Bub, and Bub is the Stephen King reading, Sony Walkman playing, friendly zombie who will get his ultra revenge on Captain Rhodes, played by the late great Joseph Pilato. Choke on him! Choke on him! But he's there, and they give him the phone and say hello, Aunt Alicia. And Howard Sherman, who's a great mime artist as well, the way he performs Bub, and he's going, oh, with drool coming down. But he's not trying to eat anyone, and he's trying to imitate the words that Dr. Frankenstein is saying, Dr. Logan, known as Frankenstein, to his nearest and dearest. And he's going, say hello, Aunt Alicia. And Bub's going like, oh. And the way you hear it, he is saying the words. And you look at the reactions of everyone else around, they're like, the other scientists are like, oh my God, that's amazing what you've done. That's a major discovery. You can communicate with them. But Captain Rhodes and his good old boys, his old redneck soldiers, are just horrified. No, I just want him to drop over, and he shoot them in the head. Fantastic stuff. And there he is. There is Bub. Come on, Bub. You puss-brain bag of shit, says Steele. Right, so, who have we got next? We're going to venture into the land of Hammer. Part of their double bill system in the mid-60s, they had Rasputin the Mad Monk and, what is it now? Oh God, Plague of the Zombies, which is this. And you had the Reptile and Dracula Prince of Darkness. Whoa, it's been a long day, folks. It's been a long, long day. But in Plague of the Zombies, a little Cornish village is beset by voodoo zombies. A British colonial aristocrat has come back, and to work his tin mine, he's using zombies and voodoo rituals to make them work in the mines for him. But Roy Ashton's splendid makeup. Not only have you got Jacqueline Pearce, who played the Reptile. I said the Gorgon before in that double bill project. It wasn't. It was the Reptile. Before you all leap on me and go, oh, you said that wrong. It was the Reptile, which I've covered extensively. And Jacqueline Pearce, who played the Reptile, also plays Alice in this, who sadly meets her end, but also returns in a nightmare sequence of zombies rising from the grave. And she's terrifying enough, but the poster boy zombie, played by an actor called Ben Harris, they had white contact lenses with pinholes cut into them, and they had all this horrible cadaverish. It was one of the first zombie films that actually made the zombies look, because this is mid-60s, look like they've come back from the grave, like they are dead and decomposing. Nothing before it really had done that. They all look very fresh and real and vibrant, apart from mad expressions or whatever. But this is the first time anyone had tried to do decomposing makeup on them, and they're pasty-faced and rotting, but these white, contact lenses with pinholes cut into them. And in one horrific sequence, we see him with the body of Alice atop this huge slag heap with a winding mechanism for the tin mine atop that. A very satanic, glowering image, and he's there with Alice's body in his hands, and with a maniacal cackle and a scream, he throws her body off the top down this rolling precipice. Oh my God. And it's just truly horrific. They don't eat anyone, but they are sinister. And in that nightmare sequence where they all arise from the graves and put their hands out and start coming for you, oh God, it works a treat. Who have we got next? Oh, it's the shark zombie from Flesh Eaters. Well, we've done that one, haven't we? Okay, Tarman, you're up. Played by, oh God, what's his name? Alan Troutman. Not Alan Tarman, but Alan Troutman plays Tarman from The Return of the Living Dead. Dan O'Bannon. Oh my God. Mid-80s, or slightly earlier. Fantastic. Horror comedy. A sort of piss-take parody sequel to Night of the Living Dead by John Russo and Dan O'Bannon. Oh, it is fantastic. You know it, you love it. The score, the soundtrack is eclectic. Psychobilly, rockabilly stuff. It's just heaven. But he is in one of the vats, and when he comes out and he's down in the basement of the Unida medical supply warehouse, and he comes out because he's super thin and he's just covered in gook and gunk, and again like that, and he's going, brains, and he puts the bite on, is it Scuzz? Puts the bite on Scuzz, one of the punks in it, bites a chunk out of his fod, and all the blood comes out like like a hose pipe, and then they get the baseball bat on him and take Tarman's head off. You really want to see more of Tarman, but he is an iconic zombie, without a doubt. That look, that shiny, slimy look, and because they just want to party. These zombies in Dan O'Bannon's movie just really want to have a good time. They come back from the grave. They can talk, for one thing, They know what they want. They want brains. And they've got the half zombie chained to a table. And they go, well, why do you want to eat brains? To stop the pain. The pain? What pain is that? The pain of being dead. Heads to be dead, apparently. It is such a crazy, riotous, and yet upbeat zombie movie, even with a hugely apocalyptic, nihilistic ending where the US military was just, because they know this situation, right, it's happened, right, drop bombs on it. We'll take out the entire fucking city, doesn't matter, it don't matter. But Tarman is incredible. Oh, you can hear a bit of the Living Dead at Manchester Morgue again there. That's Guthrie's breath. Guthrie the Loon. I mean, there are plenty of other zombies in it, but he is just so frightening. And that's the thing about zombies in movies. You look at Romero's zombies, they're not frightening. They're a horrible thing when they're en masse and you're cornered. But individually, they're nothing. They're weak, they're pathetic, they're dead. They're all messed up. They're easily defeated. But, so it takes a special zombie. The zombies of Val Luton are eerie and terrifying, but they're not going to hurt you. They're just going to frighten you. So a zombie that's actually frightening. Lucio Fulci nailed it with Flesh Eaters and in House by the Cemetery with Dr. Fraudstein, who's down in the basement. He's a terrifying cadaver as well. Like, he's forever rebuilding himself from the bodies of the people that he's just offed in really sadistic, brutal ways. Yeah, he's quite frightening. So, but with Flesh Eaters, they look like zombies. They look like the dead, but they also look bloody frightening, and they're aggressive. Look at the zombie when the boat arrives in New York Harbour, and that first zombie who he should have made the list as well, to be honest, when he barrels out of one of the lower deck cabins and rips apart the first harbour cop that's gone aboard, tears his throat out. He is truly terrifying. Oh my God. But it's few and far between that zombies are used as individual monsters that are just, oh God, no, and you're terrified of them. So, that was a little rundown of some of the top deadsters on my hit list. So now, folks, you know what's coming next. It's up to you guys. I want to know what your top iconic zombies are. And you can have mystical zombies, you can have, 28 days later, 28 weeks later, you can have them, because to all intents and purposes, they're friggin' zombies. You can have Walking Dead, even though they don't call them zombies in that. You can have, who's your favourite walker? Or you can have, like, Dr. Hill from Re-Animator. I mean, actually, thinking about it, he should have been on there as well. When Herbert West reanimates in parts. He's decapitated him. Never done parts before. So he brings back the head as well. And the head's in like a little tray full of blood. And Dr. Hill's going like, right, you tell me what your thoughts are. And Dr. Hill goes, West. Yes, I'm here. You. And he's writing. This is Jeffrey Coombs. You, yeah. Bastard. And his headless body is risen up behind him and knocks out, Jeffrey Coombs, Herbert West, Re-Animator. So he's a great zombie as well. And in Creepshow, you've got the two get buried in their necks up to in sand, and the tide comes in. Ted Danson and Galen Ross from Dawn of the Dead, and they come back as seaweed-ridden, aquamarine zombies. God, yeah, the list is endless. The iconic look that you can get for these things, the tremendous makeup, the atmospheric, build up to the unveiling of these creatures. Yeah, zombies aren't just ten a penny as you think they are. There are some great characters amongst them as well. I've listed off a few there. So guys, come on now. Let's be having you. What are your top zombies? And I've given you've got more time to think about it as well. I threw this together, but to be honest, looking through it all now, I don't think I'd change any of that. I'd only add to it, but they're definitely up there. So, folks, in the meantime, and the raspy breathing dead-lunged in between time. Please, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'm going to see you all later. Sorry about that, bub. Fly boy, he's coming tomorrow.